if I told you that some of Hollywood's most famous men have changed their faces so drastically that they're barely recognizable today? Over the decades, many stars turned to cosmetic procedures, hoping to hold on to youth and relevance. Sometimes the results appeared refreshing. Other times, they altered careers and public perception forever. In this video, we explore some of the most shocking male transformations, from procedures believed to rewind time to choices that left lasting consequences. Stay with us until the very end, because one transformation remains among the most debated and widely discussed cases the world still can't stop talking about. Before we continue, tell us where you're watching from and what time it is right now. Michael Jackson. When we talk about global superstardom, his name stands apart as a cultural force, a once-in-a-generation artist who reshaped modern music and performance. While audiences moved to Billie Jean and Thriller, behind the spotlight, Michael was locked in a private struggle with his own reflection. In the early 1980s, he still possessed the gentle features and bright eyes that first won America's affection. But as his fame intensified, so did his self-doubt. His first cosmetic procedure, a rhinoplasty following a rehearsal injury, was reportedly meant to help breathing problems. That decision became the starting point of a long transformation. Additional nose surgeries followed, along with cheek implants, chin reshaping, eyelid adjustments, and facelifts. Gradually, his once harmonious features began to change. His nose, once familiar and expressive, appeared increasingly delicate and unfamiliar. Even more controversial was the noticeable shift in his skin tone. As his complexion lightened, speculation spread that he was trying to distance himself from his black identity. Michael consistently stated that he had vitiligo, a medical condition that causes loss of pigmentation, though critics questioned his motives. Many believe the reality was layered, shaped by industry racism, relentless tabloid scrutiny, and impossible standards of beauty. Although his musical genius never faded, his face came to reflect strain and pressure. By the time of his death in 2009, Michael Jackson was no longer seen only as the king of pop, but also as a cautionary figure, a man who achieved extraordinary success without finding peace within himself. His music lives on, while his transformation remains a haunting reminder of how the pursuit of perfection can consume the person behind the legend. Igor Bogdanov and Grichka Bogdanov. In the 1970s, the twin brothers were celebrated as France's intellectual golden twins of television. Intelligent, charismatic, and strikingly handsome, they captivated audiences with programs exploring science fiction, cosmology, and the mysteries of the universe. With sharp jawlines, pronounced cheekbones, and natural charm, they became icons admired for both their minds and their looks. What ultimately reshaped their public image, however, was not science, but surgery. By the late 1990s, subtle changes in their appearance began to draw attention. Soon, those changes became impossible to ignore. Their cheeks appeared unnaturally enlarged, their lips fuller, and their jaws expanded into proportions many felt defied normal anatomy. With each new appearance, the transformation intensified. Media outlets and viewers began referring to them as the alien twins. The brothers dismissed speculation, suggesting their look reflected futuristic ideas or personal evolution. Still, many observers believed they had undergone extensive cosmetic procedures, including fillers, Botox, and experimental surgeries. Long before viral fame became common, the Bogdanovs turned heads at events like the Cannes Film Festival. Images of the twins spread rapidly, sparking jokes, memes, and a persistent question: what happened to them? More unsettling than the physical changes was their reaction. They never offered explanations or apologies. Instead, they embraced the spectacle, presenting their transformation as a deliberate rejection of conventional norms. In 2021, the brothers passed away just days apart due to COVID-19 complications. While their work in science and television remains notable, they are most often remembered for their otherworldly appearance. Their story stands as a cautionary tale about the desire to stand out at any cost, even if it means turning oneself into a living caricature. Do you see the Bogdanov twins as bold nonconformists, or as a warning about pushing self-reinvention too far? Share your perspective in the comments. Mickey Rourke. Few people in the 1980s could have imagined that the rugged heartthrob with a smoldering stare would later become one of Hollywood's clearest examples of plastic surgery gone wrong. At his peak, Rourke had it all: fame, talent, and a raw, dangerous charisma that defined the era's tough guy image on screen. That trajectory shifted in the early 1990s when he stepped away from acting to pursue professional boxing. The sport took a heavy toll. Repeated blows left him with broken bones, deep facial scarring, and lasting injuries. At first, surgery was necessary to repair the damage. But what began as medical reconstruction gradually turned into a series of cosmetic decisions that many later viewed as misguided. Hair transplants, repeated nose reconstructions, cheek implants, and attempts to soften deep lines followed. The procedures accumulated, often with poor results. Rather than restoring his former look, Rourke emerged with a face that appeared rigid and oversculpted, hiding the emotional expressiveness audiences once connected with. Even after experienced surgeons attempted corrective work, improvement remained limited. Rourke frequently appeared older than his age, his once intense expression replaced by something distant. He has spoken openly about his regret, acknowledging that he trusted the wrong people to repair his face. He describes those choices as part of his life's path, yet the cost is undeniable. His effort to preserve youth stripped away much of the authenticity that made him iconic. Today, Mickey Rourke is remembered both for performances like The Wrestler and as a sobering reminder that fighting time with surgery can come at a very high personal price. Simon Cowell. For years, he ruled talent shows with a single look. A raised eyebrow, a tight smile, or complete silence was enough to unsettle contestants. As the driving force behind American Idol, The X Factor, and Got Talent, his face became part of his authority. Ironically, trying to preserve that image nearly cost him his identity. The shift happened gradually. It started with small, routine treatments. Botox and fillers meant to refresh his appearance. Cowell later joked that he was using Botox like toothpaste. What began as maintenance slowly turned into excess. By the early 2020s, the change was impossible to ignore. In a 2023 video celebrating One Direction's anniversary, viewers were shocked. His face appeared stiff and waxy, with overly full cheeks, glossy skin, and limited expression. Online reactions were immediate, with many asking if they were even looking at the same person. The most painful reaction came from his son, Eric, who admitted he felt frightened by Cowell's appearance. That moment forced a reckoning. The man known for judging others was now confronting himself. Cowell chose to stop. He dissolved fillers, gave up Botox, and shifted toward healthier habits, including better sleep, hydration, and natural treatments. He later admitted that seeing certain photos made him realize he no longer recognized himself. His story is not simply about cosmetic procedures. It's about ego, fame, and the illusion that time can be controlled. In the end, Simon Cowell's transformation became a lesson in knowing when to step back. Do you think Simon Cowell was right to reverse his cosmetic procedures, or should public figures age however they choose? Share your thoughts below. Justin Jedlica. While many people dream of fame or fortune, Justin Jedlica pursued perfection, not the kind given by nature, but the kind shaped by surgical design. As a teenager, he watched glamorous television stars and became fascinated by flawless faces and luxurious lifestyles. To him, success was something that could be engineered, one procedure at a time. Just 4 days after turning 18, he underwent his first rhinoplasty, beginning a transformation that would define his life. By 2012, Jedlica had reportedly completed more than 190 cosmetic procedures. These included chest, shoulder, and arm implants, cheek fillers, eyebrow lifts, liposuction, and multiple nose reconstructions. Over time, that number continued to rise, with estimated costs reaching hundreds of thousands of dollars. The media labeled him the human Ken doll, often joking that he was almost entirely plastic. Jedlica never rejected the label. Unlike many public figures who minimize their enhancements, he openly embraced them. He described cosmetic surgery as an art form and viewed his body as a living sculpture used to express identity and creativity. He spent time living in Trump Tower, later married a wealthy businessman, and eventually relocated to Australia. There, he has openly accepted both his altered appearance and his unconventional personal life. Jedlica has even appeared on reality television defending his choices, referring to his body modifications as living architecture. To supporters, Justin Jedlica represents radical self-ownership and freedom over one's body. To critics, he stands as a warning about excess and obsession. His story asks a simple but unsettling question: how far would you go before no longer recognizing yourself? Pete Burns. As the flamboyant frontman of Dead or Alive, Pete Burns was instantly recognizable for his bold fashion, commanding presence, and fearless attitude. In the 1980s, he rose to international fame with You Spin Me Round, like a record, becoming a pop icon whose look was as striking as his sound. Over time, however, his appearance drew attention for very different reasons. His transformation reportedly began with a rhinoplasty to repair a broken nose. That procedure marked the start of an ongoing pursuit of reinvention. Over the years, Burns was said to have undergone hundreds of cosmetic procedures, including facelifts, cheek implants, repeated nose surgeries, and extreme lip augmentations. As the changes accumulated, the consequences became severe. His nose appeared increasingly fragile, while prominent cheek implants reshaped his face into sharp, unnatural angles. The most damaging complications affected his lips. Excessive injections reportedly led to swelling, infections, and serious tissue damage, at times requiring emergency medical intervention to prevent permanent harm. Burns never attempted to hide his surgeries. He openly described himself as a living work of art, constantly evolving. Yet as the procedures continued, the boundary between self-expression and physical breakdown became blurred. His reflection no longer resembled the person fans once knew. When Pete Burns passed away in 2016 at the age of 57, public opinion remained divided. Some viewed him as a pioneer who challenged gender and beauty norms long before broader acceptance. Others saw his story as a cautionary example of obsession taken too far. Ultimately, his life illustrates how the pursuit of transformation can shift from empowerment to erasure. Do you see Pete Burns primarily as a fearless artist expressing himself, or as a warning about the risks of extreme transformation? Share your view in the comments. Sylvester Stallone. Throughout the 1980s, he embodied raw, masculine strength. With his powerful build, distinctive facial expressions, and gravelly voice, Stallone didn't just play tough characters, he became them. Rocky Balboa fought his way up from nothing. John Rambo survived against impossible odds. Audiences believed in those roles because they believed in him. Yet time proved to be the one opponent Stallone could never fully defeat. His journey with cosmetic intervention reportedly began with a medical concern. In a 1992 interview, he explained that his uneven smile, often mistaken for part of his charm, was caused by nerve damage at birth. Surgery was performed to address the issue. At first, it seemed purely corrective. As Hollywood's fixation on youth intensified, subtle cosmetic treatments are believed to have followed. Under the scrutiny of high-definition cameras and constant public judgment, Stallone's appearance continued to change. His skin appeared increasingly tight, his brow unnaturally lifted, and his jawline sharply defined. The expressive face that once carried emotion without words began to look fixed and restrained. Experts have suggested that he may have undergone facelifts, Botox treatments, skin-tightening procedures, and possible fillers in the cheeks and chin. While nothing has been fully confirmed, the visual transformation sparked widespread debate among fans. Some defend his right to age on his own terms. Others feel a sense of loss for the rugged authenticity that once defined him. Stallone's strength and career endure, but his face now tells a quieter story, one about pressure, aging, and the cost of trying to preserve an image built decades earlier. Thanks for watching Hollywood Lost Secrets. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for more untold stories.